appreciate it. Again, as always, appreciate you guys coming out, joining us today. Kind of recap the Towson game. As I said after the game on Saturday, I thought the energy and effort was where we would want it to be. But obviously, there's still some things that we got to get cleaned up, which we expected. It's always great to be able to clean things up with a win. Makes it a lot easier. It was great to be able to play a bunch of guys. We were able to play in all three phases, a good amount of our team. And anytime you're able to do that, that's very beneficial for us down the road. So there's some things that we'll continue to clean up this week. As per normal, for a team, you usually see that big jump between game 1 to game 2, and we're very hopeful now that we've got a game on our belt, some things that we need to get corrected. We'll be able to get corrected and executed better in week 2. Charlotte's coming in, a national TV game here in the Shell at night, familiar opponent that we played a year ago. Obviously, they've got a new coaching staff that we're very familiar with, Coach Poggi, who I don't just call an opponent, he's also a dear friend. He coached my son in high school. My son Kai played for Biff there at Gilman, so I've known Biff for a long, long time and got a lot of respect for him and the job he does as a coach in developing young men. I know our fans will come out and create the environment that we want to have for a Saturday night national TV game, and we're very hopeful that we can pack the Shell. It's a great opportunity for us to take the next step as a program and show our Terps fans what we're all about as we continue to create an identity for us this year. Our game captains this week, Charlotte native DJ Glaze, Jeremy Spraggins, and Corey Dyches will serve as our game 2 captains. We're looking forward to those guys leading us. And then with that, I'll open up to whatever questions you guys have.
Mike, you had a chance to play a lot of offensive linemen last Saturday, and as you move forward and as you look to get this O-line in shape for Big Ten play, what things were you looking for last Saturday, and what questions were answered on a micro and a macro level?
Yeah, going into it, obviously we had a couple of missing pieces there that had been available to us most of training camp, and we're hopeful that we're able to get, Gotti back this week possibly, which will again allow us to kind of solidify some things there. I thought for the most part the O-line did a decent job. Their quarterback got sacked on the last play of the game, gave up 1 sack. When you watch the tape, it seems as though there was pressure, especially interior pressure for our quarterback early on. But after you review it, you see it. That's just some of that is an example of our quarterback who doesn't give up on plays. And when Leah tries to extend plays, there are times that maybe he puts himself in harm's way, and what we're going to do is continue to coach him how to help protect himself, as well as, our line to understand that we do have a guy back there that if you allow him to extend things, usually good things happen. As coming out of that first game, we have a pretty good understanding now of what those guys do in game, and so this week we'll try to maybe solidify it a little bit, maybe not have as much of the substitution there and give guys a chance to gel and come together. But it was good to be able to play a lot of them a week ago to give us an opportunity to evaluate them in in-game situations.
Hey, Coach. I know you had talked about just playing a lot of players, obviously, but going into this upcoming week, there'll be some familiarity with the roster. Obviously, I believe it's 6 players who played here last year who are now on Charlotte. But when you watch game 1, what kind of jumped out, whether it's from a player perspective or kind of scheme?
Yeah, game 1 for them, I don't coach their team, but it looked like they didn't show a lot. I mean, they didn't have to necessarily, I guess, get into too deep into their game plan. When you watch the tape, I think they had 68 snaps on defense, and they were in some base man-free stuff. But when you do your research, as we've done over the summer, with our summer scouting report, we expect them to play more split safety than maybe post-safety stuff that they showed a week ago. On the offensive side of the ball, again, they were very limited game plan. They were able to get their stuff executed. If you know Biff, he wants to run the football. He wants to play downhill. He's kind of one of those guys that wants to make it a tough, gritty game, and that's what we expect. Again, the familiarity. Obviously, they've got Mike Miller, a former assistant here, who's been with me for some time. you know, there is some familiarity from a personnel standpoint. You look across their roster and they've got, I want to say, 25, 30 guys from Power 5 institutions, so they've been able to flip their roster, and you know, they've got some really talented players in all three phases.
Hey, Coach.
Sean.
So with Coach Poggi, can you kind of elaborate on your relationship with Biff and how it's evolved over the years? You know, you mentioned Kai and Gilman and everything. Just what's that relationship like with Biff?
Yeah, I've known Biff probably since about 1997, 98 when I came here as a young assistant, and he was coaching over at Gilman. We recruited his school for some time. When I came back here in 2012, you know, my son ended up going to Gilman and played 3 years there for Coach Poggi, and he did a tremendous job creating value for my son. We was able to sign with Texas coming out of high school, and great education there at Gilman. And Biff is one of those guys that's similar to myself. He's not just about developing them as football players, but developing them as people. And I know he develops really strong relationships, and through that, he and I have become, you know, great friends, as well as obviously now competitors. And looking forward to it. I know he'll have his team ready to come play up here. It's kind of a homecoming for him and some of the players on his roster. When you look across and see the amount of guys that are there with him that he had in high school, and those guys were really good players. So we expect him to come up and give us his best, and then he can expect to get ours.
Yeah, Coach, the
What's up, man?
partnership between the Big Ten and NBC is a new thing this year. I guess they're going to have the pregame show here this weekend. What do you think it means, I guess, for the league and for your program to have this sort of new primetime national TV slot to play?
Yeah, you know, all of our partners are equally important. I think obviously with this time slot being a national TV time slot, it's good for Maryland. It's good for us to showcase the university. It's good for us to showcase the things that we have here in the DMV area. So we're excited about the opportunity. You know, NBC, it takes the place of some of the other partners maybe we've had down the past, but I know this. The guys that are calling it for them are professional well. They call games really well, and they'll do their due diligence. And I know as a conference, we're excited about being able to have the NBC as a major partner for us.
Hey, Michael, third straight game without allowing a touchdown. Just what are some of the factors that have gone into that, and how much optimism does that provide you as you get into the early part of the season?
You know, I think it's anytime you're able to, the goal on defense is to limit scoring. And, you know, this past weekend we were able to hold them to 2 field goals, and we gave up some yardage there, but we dug in our heels there once they crossed into the red zone area. I think it's a testament to the players coming into it. We felt that our defense, we had a chance to be pretty good on defense because of the front seven. It was great with the additions of guys like Ja'Quan Sheppard, you know, being able to come fill in and fill some voids, and he played really well for us. So I think the defense is the strength of our team from the standpoint that, you know, we've got a lot of veteran leadership. I think that side of the ball has quite a few great leaders, and I think, you know, they got off to a fast start on defense, and I hope we're able to continue it through this next game.
Coach,
Sam, what's up?
how you doing? Just wondering, you know, in terms of this game, you know, having that national audience like you talked about, having a chance to showcase some of Maryland's traditions and kind of the DMV as you spoke about, how important is it to you to, you know, have those local ties to the area, to the fan base, as you know you talked about before, and now you're getting to put it on for a national audience, flag drop, whether it be, you know, having Maryland just showcased in this type of spot.
You know, as I said, you know, anytime you play a national TV game, it's great for the university. You know, I saw something come out where we're ranked one of the top 30, 25 universities in the country, and you know, when you bring a national TV audience to your campus, you're able to illuminate the great things about being here in the DMV. You know, the 4th largest media market in the country, and so it gives us an opportunity to really show what we have here. So, like I said before, our players are excited. I'm excited about this partnership and to be able to play here, but obviously we got to go do the work and do the things necessary to keep this excitement.
Hey, Coach.
Taylor, what's up?
What's going on? You said after the game Saturday that you were particularly impressed with some of the throwing deep and the trajectory on those balls, the accuracy of them. Was that something that you guys maybe worked on over the offseason? And what were some things in particular that you did go ahead and improve in that regard, and how did you kind of accomplish that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the questions I oftentimes get about Talia is what can he do to improve? And I think I've been on the record that, last year we left some plays on the field in the deep passing game, which was something that I think is a strength of his. I attributed it last year to possibly just the timing. When you think of the receivers we had a year ago, 3 starters were coming off of injuries where they missed spring ball. Dante Demas didn't practice in the spring. Rakim Jarrett didn't practice. Jacob Copeland was limited. And so I don't think we ever really got the timing down. And there were times where there were open guys and we mishit or didn't hit them accurately. There were times where we maybe missed the read. So after you review and go through kind of the quality control of what we can do better, that was the one area in Leah's game that we thought we needed to improve. And so what you do is you go about figuring out, setting up individual drill work. Some of it is footwork for him in the back end and making sure that he's got his eyes in the right place and that the ball has the right trajectory where you throw guys open. I thought Saturday, obviously he had the big one that was dropped and then came back and, had a couple of drops on some deep shots where I thought he threw the ball where we wanted it to be thrown with the type of trajectory. So worked really hard. Josh, continues to drill quite a bit and you see the fruits of the work.
2 or 3 more, we'll go back to him.
Hey, Coach, I was going to ask about Talia as well. I know, he took a couple hits, but, just the guys behind him, Billy Edwards, he was able to come in, and Cam Edge, that was his first career appearance. So how would you kind of maybe assess Talia, just kind of maybe playing through, some of those big hits in week 1 and then with Billy and Cam Edge and, their appearances as well?
Yeah, as I said earlier with Leah, some of the hits he took, as you can see, were part of him extending plays. I mean, one of the things that you love about him is that he has the ability to extend, and one of the things that scares the mess out of you is when he does try to extend, sometimes he puts himself in harm's way. And, as I said to him on the sideline, it's okay to give up on a play and play the next down. But I think every play, because of the competitiveness he has, he's trying to make everything work. But as he continues to mature and he's really shown the ability, he could have finished the game. We took most of the starters out after the first drive of the second half. There's nothing structurally. I mean, he got banged up, and when you play the game of football, the way Leah plays, sometimes he'll take some of these shots, and my goal is to minimize them and eliminate them, and we'll continue to work with him on, maybe not trying to make everything a touchdown, and throwaways are good. I think he was 23 of 33, and he had 7 drops and 3 throwaways. So the accuracy is there. We just got to continue to work with him to help protect himself, and then we got to do a better job on the interior part of our protection, where we solidify those A and B gaps to give him a little more time from a vision standpoint.
Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Bruce.
Looking around the country, you saw Coach Prime with a huge upset. You saw Duke destroy Clemson. You saw FSU destroy LSU. You saw Indiana give Ohio State all they wanted.
Where are we going with this, Bruce?
I'm going to I got a point.
All right.
You have had tremendous success in your first games of the year. And I think that you prepare for those early games better than as well as anybody, okay? What has to happen for Maryland to get an Ohio State to come here for opening day or a Penn State? Is that a matter of just the conference, or is that something you request? And have you thought about that?
I've not thought about it. I guess winning the opening game means I can hit the fastball, but I need to work on that curveball a little bit. The conference makes our schedule. We play whoever pops up on there, and we've been really fortunate that we've had opportunities to have success early, which I think is great for a team that's in building mode like we are, because we want to try to get better with each game. And we all know we play in a tough league, and so you want to build up to it and continue to work through the kinks so that once we do hit conference play, which is a second season for us, we're hoping to be hitting on all cylinders. And so, to be able to open up, I think it's great for the area when we play local teams like Towson, like Howard, and some of these teams here. I think it's always great to play regional rivalries like West Virginia, like Virginia. I've shared my opinions with Colleen and with Damon in terms of scheduling from that standpoint. But, we play them how they're put on our schedule.
Get ready, second over.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Maroon.
you talked about Ja'Quan Sheppard. I wanted to ask, what drew you guys to him when you were looking at the portal, and how does he compare to Deontay Richard skill set wise?
I mean, his size, his speed, he was probably the best available corner in the transfer portal, a first team all conference guy in the AAC, and they play against some teams that throw the ball around the yard. I knew about him, as I told you, a lot of the guys in the portal were guys that we've recruited, that we have really close ties so that we know what type of character we're bringing in. That's really important to me. We'll always be a team that recruits high school first. We'll use the portal to fill needs as we've done here the last couple of years, and we've been really fortunate. But to be able to get a guy like Ja'Quan to come here when he could have gone anywhere in the country, I think is a testament to the things we're doing and also to what we have to offer our kids. So how he compares to Deontay Banks, I mean, they look very similar in their uniforms. I think he may be even a little bigger than Tay is, but really pleased with the way he played in the first game for us.
Last one on second.
Okay, I'm Judith, by the way. I
Hey,
didn't
Judith.
ask
Good
a
to see
question
you.
last week. What do you guys have to do to kind of slow down the run? Charlotte rushed for over 200 yards in their first game, and Towson got bulk of its yards on the ground as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Towson's yards came from the quarterback scramble, and as I talked about, after the game, containing a running quarterback, and that will be something we'll have to deal with. They got a really athletic quarterback in number one, Jalen Jones, who, with the zone read games and the QB runs, which we expect to see because it adds an extra blocker for them. That's something to be concerned for, something that we expect and we're preparing for. QB runs, like I said, give them a numbers advantage when you try to load the box. So what we got to do is be really gap sound. We've got to do a good job of getting off blocks. We've got to do a great job of containing him because a lot of the runs that we faced a week ago that had success came off of drop back passes and maybe rushing too far up the field and not level rushing the quarterback that allows the defense to kind of contain him inside the pocket. We've got to do a better job this week. I think we had 12 loss of contains in the game last week, and for us, I see losing contain is a lot like turnovers on offense, and so that's something that we definitely have to get fixed from game one to game two.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.